Hey guys, I don't know if you saw the cover of Time magazine, but it has a picture of a blonde, an attractive blonde woman with her boob out, and she is breastfeeding her 3-year-old son who's like standing on a little stool with the big type of "Are you mom enough?" Across the cover. And of course this catches my eye because I'm a mom and I have 3 kids and I breastfed all 3 of them, thank you very much. Not an easy task to accomplish. And I wanted to know what this was about, so, and you know, attractive blonde lady feeding her 3-year-old son definitely is something that, you know, the social acceptance of women who breastfeed past a year is kind of funny because there isn't a lot of acceptance for it. And I think it's one of the most natural things and one of the most unnatural things is to breastfeed your child, and let me explain why. First, my first son, and my only son, my first though, I had a really hard time breastfeeding him. I can see why women give up and say, this is not for me, because trust me, I definitely wanted to give up. My milk didn't come in for 3 weeks, so it's a trying time because you're a new mom and there's so many, you just had a baby, you're in pain, and there's lots of things going on in your body that I would just rather not discuss with you. It's a little personal. And you have a screaming, crying baby at all hours of the day, and the lack of sleep, and it's emotionally draining, and the postpartumness of everything. It's really hard. With, on top of that, trying to breastfeed for the first time, not really knowing what you're doing, getting your nipples sucked on, and they are chafed and hurt and are swollen and painful. It's not, honestly, it's not a pleasant ordeal to go through, so I can see why women would be like, this is not for me. I almost gave up, and I had to supplement with formula between, you know, feeding him on my breast because there just wasn't any milk. Nothing was happening. And, you know, after 2 weeks, my milk came in, and boom, you know, bursting forth with yummy milk, lactose for my baby. So everything turned out okay. But if I would have given up like after a week or a week and a half, I would honestly, I wouldn't. Looking back on it, I could see how I could very easily have just given that up and been okay with it. Like, I don't think, looking back on it now, I don't think, because it was such a horrendous experience, that I would have been okay with, no, I tried it and it did not work for me and I'm not doing it again. But I'm glad I didn't give up because my milk did come in, and when I had my daughter Anna, she was a lazy eater. I had to go see a lactation consultant with her because she wouldn't latch on properly, and when she finally would, she would fall asleep at my breast. And I had to get a breast pump. So, you know, it's hard. And by the time Lulu came along, I felt like, you know, yeah, I'm a breastfeeding expert, but at the same time I anticipated having some kind of problem, so I stocked up on formula just in case I had to supplement with her too. But turns out I didn't have to. I don't think anyone can really argue that breastfeeding isn't the best, because it is, but I also feel like there just needs to be a little bit more social acceptance here for women who choose to breastfeed past a year, and for women who choose not to breastfeed at all. And that choice is a very personal choice, and if I chose to give up breastfeeding my son after a week and a half, I would not want anyone to judge me harshly for that, because you don't know, it honestly was a hellish ordeal. It was very painful, and I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy, to be honest with you. It truly was that bad. But by the time I had my daughter, I knew what to expect. Mentally, I was okay with it, and it really wasn't as bad. It wasn't as painful, and especially with the aid of a pump, things went a little bit more smoothly. And by the time I had Lulu, I just, you know, I don't know, maybe it just happened organically, or maybe, you know, we were in sync a little bit more with it. I don't really know, but I got lucky with her, and I didn't have any problems with her. And who's to say that you don't successfully breastfeed and then you can't successfully breastfeed the second one or third one? Things happen, and what if it's post-mastectomy? What if you had breast cancer and had to remove your breast, so you have to have an operation, and then you have a baby and you can't breastfeed? What if you're on different medication that doesn't allow you to breastfeed? Or what if you what if it's just, what if you adopt, or what if it's just a choice of, I don't want it, it's not for me, it's not something I want to do. I think it's honestly, my take on breastfeeding is, I say it's one of the most natural things, and it really is one of the most unnatural things as well, because it's really just, when it's good, and when it's bad, it is bad. So I think we just need a little bit more loving acceptance for women who decide to make that seriously such a personal choice of whether to breastfeed or whether not to. Who cares? And if you want to it's weird, because in America here, I think it's ingrained in us that breastfeeding is the best and you should breastfeed, and you're not a good mom if you don't breastfeed. But then it's weird, because once your child gets to a year, the pendulum swings, and it's like, that's bad, you can't breastfeed past a year, and you can't. It's a very confusing message to women in general, I think. And the words on the cover of Time magazine saying, "Are you mom enough?" it implies that there are varying degrees of momminess. Are you mom enough? What does that mean? And it's implying that there are some moms that are enough, because what's on the cover? They're breastfeeding. So if you breastfeed, you're mom enough. But if you don't breastfeed, then you're not mom enough. And I feel like that is a really appalling statement and implication, and I wholeheartedly, with everything inside of me, disagree with the fact that they chose those words for that picture. I don't care if you want to breastfeed your child into adulthood. I don't care. I don't care if you even want to do that in public. What I care about is changing your 4-year-old's poopy diaper in front of me at Denny's. Take it to the bathroom, lady, because I'm eating here, and that's not sanitary, and it's really disrupting. And I am now distraught even thinking about that. And it's happened to me before. Even just walking in the park and a mother is changing a dirty diaper on a bench. Come on, that's not sanitary. I have such a problem with women or men even, who change their child's dirty diaper in public in front of everybody else. I have more of a problem with that than I ever will with someone who wants to breastfeed their 3-year-old in public. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. Children who are breastfed naturally wean themselves. I breastfed Lulu past 20 months, and she just naturally weaned herself. It happened organically between us, and it just happened. And what the article about in Time magazine, of course, it makes you think it's going to be all about breastfeeding because of the picture, but it actually isn't. It's an article on Dr. Sears, who wrote a book called The Baby Book, and you've probably heard of it because it's rather old, and it's just a type of parenting style, and it's attachment parenting, and it's just the idea of having your baby close, making sure you breastfeed, co-sleeping, just, you know, when you're doing little tasks around the house, to just have your baby close, either on your back or on your chest. And I did read, when I was pregnant with Lulu, I did read a book, I think, and I'm not quite sure, I think it's called The Baby Whisperer, and in the book she recommends that you never let your baby fall asleep on your chest. And at that point I closed the book and didn't read any further, because the whole reason why I'm having a baby is so the baby can fall asleep on my chest and I can smell its head. Come on! I want my baby to sleep on my chest all the time. That's like the best part of having a kid. And I had 2 before that, so I was looking forward to it again. There's no way I wouldn't do that, and I just think that that's really bad advice. However, if you choose never to let your baby sleep on you, then I'm not going to judge you for that. There are so many different parenting styles, and so many, even parents who are married, they both can have different parenting styles to their, you know, children, and each child responds differently to a different parenting style. What works for my son won't necessarily work for my girls, and what works for one girl won't necessarily work for the other girl. So I like to just take a step back and let things happen organically, where I don't, my stress level has gone down a lot when I don't jump in and micromanage everybody and try to control the situation and tell everybody what to do. I like to just let things happen, and as long, you know, within reason. I'm not just saying let them go and get weapons and fight it out in front of me or not. I don't do that. But I, you know, both my son and daughter, my older son and daughter, they're old enough to like figure it out themselves too, you know. if they have a problem, I'll just say, what can we do to solve it, instead of jumping in and saying, this is what you should do and this is what you should do. I really don't like to do that anyways, because it takes away, it's kind of invalidating telling them what they should do. They should come to that on their own, and then they're learning skills for future use as well, so it's good to do it that way. Basically, you know, you really there isn't a manual for having a kid, and if we as a society start to subscribe to the fact that if you do this, then you're a better mom, than if you do this, then you're a bad mom. I just think that we just need to have some more love and consideration for each other, and instead of saying that if you breastfeed, you're a good mom, and if you don't breastfeed, you're a bad mom, or vice versa. I don't know. I just think that how about we just love each other in spite of our differences. I mean, why does it have to be? I mean, seriously, shame on you, Time Magazine, for allowing that message to even be printed on your cover. I don't have a problem. There are a lot of people having a problem with the fact that you put a woman with her boob out feeding her 3-year-old son. I don't have a problem with that. I thought the picture was beautiful. I thought it was tastefully done. I don't care that he's 3 years old. He could have been 30 years old. I honestly don't care. I don't have an issue with it. Well, I would have, okay, honestly, I would if he was 30. That's kind of creepy, okay? But whatever. You know what I mean. What I have an issue with is the fact that you said, are you mom enough? Because the implication behind it means that there could possibly be women who aren't mom enough because they lack something. And I think it's high time we stop judging mothers, because you know what, being a mom is really hard. It really is. It's extremely hard. It's not easy. Of course, being a dad is really hard too. But when you are cooking a child for 9 months, and the things that happen to your body, and like I said before, just the whole postpartumness of everything that happens, it is really hard, okay? Having a child, going through 9 months of that and having it, and then having to take care of it afterwards, it's not easy. And I just think that we just need to have a little bit more love and sympathy for women who decide to go through that and raise their child and try. And as a community, we should be helping more instead of judging women for making the choices that they made. So basically what I want to say is that I don't have a problem with the photo. I have a problem with the text. And the article itself was okay, although there were, my question back to the woman who wrote the article is, do you have kids? Because it didn't seem like you did. I don't know who you are, or if you have a family, if you're married, and if you have kids, but you made some correlations and your own implications that parents who subscribe to attachment parenting are wounded by their own parents' parenting style. And what I have to say to that is simply that, hey, bravo parents that go for attachment parenting that are breaking the cycle of abuse, because usually if you're abused by your parents, you will continue to abuse your own kids. That's the cycle of abuse. So the correlation that you're making, you know what, maybe it hits a nerve inside of me, because I was severely abused by my parents, and so my parenting style, I tend to want to give my parents more, and my children more. I tend to want to give my children more, and yeah, it comes from a place of being wounded by my own parents and their parenting style. However, it almost had, in the article, it almost had a negative spin to it, that the reason we do this is because, oh, we're really wounded. And you know what? Bravo for us for deciding to change the cycle of abuse and not continuing to invalidate and abuse our children and try to control our children, because that's what our parents did to us, and that's the only thing we know how to do. So bravo to us who step out of that and try really hard to be different parents than the parents who raised us. So what do you guys think? I know there's a lot of people who disagree with feeding your child past, a year old, breastfeeding past a year. I just think it's it's ridiculous because you'll just naturally wean yourself anyways, and it should really be between the mother and the child, and it's a really personal decision, and I don't think as a society we should be judging women who choose to feed past that. So what do you guys think about that, and what do you guys think about attachment parenting? What do you guys think about the cover on Time? What do you think about the text? Leave a comment below or make a video response to this video. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. Go ahead and chime in, and thank you for watching, and please subscribe. Bye bye.